Well, good evening and welcome to Crowd Church Online. It's great that you're with us. Forgive my rather husky voice. I managed to find it for tonight's service. So it's great to be with you online. And I'm just checking, yes, we are in fact live. So do say hi in the comments. Love to know where you are from. Today, I am hosting with this beautiful lady beside me. You can put Anna on the screen now.
Yeah.
There
there I am, yeah. It's like this beautiful lady beside me, and it maintained a picture of Matt. Don't know what that says about Matt, but anyway, yeah. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, and I'd like to say I'm not quite sure what that says about me, short of Zoe not being quite as trigger happy as she needs to be tonight. But you try and do 25,000 things. Are we all good at the back? We're all good. Excellent. So great to be with you. Now, Christmas, isn't it? Are you Christmased out yet?
Do you know what? I wouldn't have said so until this weekend. At the start of this weekend, I was still all up in the Christmas spirit, you know? Had a few Christmas parties last week, did my work Christmas Day. And then this weekend, I've done not one, not two, but this is my third Christmas service since yesterday.
Wow.
I did like one yesterday evening, quiet
Wow.
one, and then I did one this morning, a nativity with my little boy.
Yeah.
And then I'm here again tonight. So yeah, I'm starting to feel like
Christmased
this is
out.
my threshold for one weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the good news is, Anna, I say the good news. It may be good news, maybe not. There's no crowd service next week, so you don't have to be here next week.
No, and also, presumably we're saving the best till last, you know, with the crowd.
Well, you and me.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely,
That's what I'm saying.
Jan's like, no, I'm definitely the best.
Got heckling tonight
we
from
have,
the crowd.
from Jan. Yeah. Well, maybe you and Jan are there, but do you want to come up and host, Jan? Is that?
She might be better than you if you're so busy.
Yeah,
Laid the gauntlet down there, haven't I? Anyway, let's move on from that.
Let's move on indeed. So, yeah, very warm welcome to you. It is great to be with you. We are going to be doing a little quiz in just a minute, so make sure you are getting ready in the comments or whatever you're using to write your answers down, because we are going to want to know what you're saying. We're going to get ready for our Home Alone quiz, so don't go anywhere. And don't cheat.
Did you just say Home Alone quiz?
Yeah.
Wow, this is a first for Crowd Church.
Well, you know, I thought let's be Christmassy.
Yeah, I love it.
What's more Christmassy than Home Alone? I mean, obviously the birth of Jesus.
I mean, we could get into a whole conversation here about what's the most Christmassy Christmas movie, couldn't we? My husband would say Die Hard, but I absolutely disagree.
I've got more heckles.
Yeah,
Die Hard, a Christmas movie. Is it a Christmas movie?
Because it happens at Christmas, apparently.
Yeah. You see, I would say
I
Die
know,
Hard
I
is a
disagree.
Christmas movie. I would. But then I heard Bruce Willis, he did a roasting, didn't he? And he said the only reason he did it was to tell everybody that Die Hard was, in fact, not a Christmas movie.
I agree with him.
So, controversial here on the live stream.
But Home Alone is, and it's like right up there with the top few for me.
So what are your top Christmas movies?
I knew you were going to ask me this. So that for sure. And also, I would say Elf is up there.
Yeah, Elf.
That's my favourite comedy.
Klaus, yeah.
And I think Arthur Christmas is there for the like kind of animations. And
All do like Arthur.
I also love a bit of Love Actually. I know not everyone
Okay.
does, but I love a good rom-com. So,
Yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea.
what are your top three then?
My top three Christmas movies. I do love Erling Berlin's White Christmas.
I literally don't know what that is.
It came out in the 1950s.
Okay, say no more.
It's the original Bing Crosby White Christmas song. Has Rosemary Clooney in it, which I think was George Clooney's grandmother.
Okay, cool.
And she played one of the Haynes sisters. But I remember... Oh, his auntie, not his grandmother. Sorry, yeah.
So that was what the song White Christmas was from?
Yeah, the song White Christmas came from that movie. And it's a really great film. Really, it goes on for 2 hours. Really wholesome, good family film. So I watch that every year. I've always watched that since I was a kid. And a few years ago, we went and watched the live version of it down at the Empire. And we went down there. There was me, there was Zoe. Was it AJ came with us? And your mum. Was it the four of us? Because the boys had gone to uni. And we went and watched White Christmas down at the Empire.
At the theatre?
At the theatre. And it was empty. I mean, empty.
Wow.
It was like there'd been a train strike or something going on that day.
Or maybe just no one's heard of that movie.
Maybe that's what it is, and they just. But we went and we literally could sit in almost any seat that we wanted. We bought the cheap seats and we sat in the expensive seats, And no one seemed to care, which was great. But I take my hat off to the team. They absolutely belted out the tunes.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we had a great time.
So that's one of your three. What are your other two, though?
Home Alone would be definitely, one of them. I do like Klaus. Klaus is fast becoming a favourite. Arthur Christmas
Yeah, good one.
would be a good one for a whole bunch of reasons. Yeah. I mean, just lots of Die Hard. I would still say is a Christmas. You're shaking your head at me.
Anyway,
No.
You know what? In the
Have you
comments
seen Die
box,
Hard? I was going to say, if you have, I'm having a word with your mum.
Do you know what? We need to have some comments in the chat box. Tell us what your favourite Christmas
What's your
movie
favourite
is.
Christmas
and
movie?
is Die Hard a Christmas movie or not?
Oh,
We'll
Wonderful
put this to
Life
the
is a great
test.
film. Have you seen A Wonderful Life?
Yeah, I've seen Wonderful Life.
Yeah, that's one of Sharon's favourite movies.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's A Wonderful Life. So, Miracle on 34th Street, the original Santa Claus from the 1980s.
We could just keep going and going.
I
But,
could, yeah.
Everyone tell us what your favourite movie is in the chat box.
Yeah. We could. I've been watching Christmas movies all week, which has been phenomenal, actually. I've been resting this week, because as you can hear, I've been a bit gruff, which has meant we've watched a lot of Christmas movies. I won't tell you the name of the Christmas movie we watched today. Dear Lord, I think... Anyway, so...
Not a good one, then.
It's not something that I'm prepared to mention on the church live stream.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Okay.
So anyway, should we do this Home Alone quiz?
I think we better had.
We better had it. Now, where have I put my... Here we go. Yeah, we'll talk about it later. It's not a problem. Okay, so let me get my glasses. Okay, so AD says in the comments, Die Hard is definitely a Christmas movie.
Okay.
AD and Sonia are watching from North Wales. Hi, AD and Sophie. Jan says It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
Is
popular one.
a very good film. Like you and Sharon would say the same thing there, Jan. I think it's totally true. A Wonderful Life, great film. You know that I did not watch Home Alone, Wonderful Life until last year. First time I'd watched it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You've not seen it? Patty is watching on Instagram. Hi, Patty. Lots of love to you and Simon. She's in New Zealand. Am I serious about the jumper? What do you think to the jumper?
I mean, people can't see it fully on screen, can they? But it's Star Wars themed, I'm guessing.
It is my Star Wars themed Christmas jumper, yes. It glows in the dark, which is...
Now, something about Matt is that he literally has more Christmas jumpers than any other man I know.
Yep.
Like, you never seem to run out of them.
Yeah, I definitely got some. So Laura says Singing in the Rain. That's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Laura says if she watches it at Christmas, it's a Christmas movie. I'm not sure that's technically true.
No, me either. But,
Sorry, Laura, you're wrong.
There's quite a few... That would definitely make Die Hard a Christmas movie then. Little Women.
Oh, Christmas Carol. That's a classic.
Muppets Christmas Carol.
The Muppet version is the
Yeah,
best.
the Muppet Christmas Carol. Anyway, let's do the quiz.
Let's.
So, Zoe, let's bring up the questions. The Home Alone quiz. Okay, have you actually watched Home Alone yet? This year?
No, not this year.
Okay.
I will watch it before Christmas with my little boy, though, who loves it too.
Yep, okay. Simon says Alien.
Oh,
No.
come on, people.
No, I'm
Alien.
sorry. Yeah, no. It's just not going to happen, is it? Okay. So the first question, where is the McAllister family traveling for Christmas? Write the answer in the comments. Home Alone chapter 1, verse 1.
The original,
The verse,
not Home
verse
Alone
1.
2. The original.
Yeah, Home Alone 1, not verse 1 or chapter 1. It's not the Bible. Where is the McAllister family traveling for Christmas is question number 1. Question number 2. What were the character names in the movie of the Wet Bandits? Don't shout it out. You've got to write it in the comments. Question number 3. What does Kevin steal from the store? What does he steal from the store? And question number 4. What is the name of the gangster movie Kevin watches at home? What's the name of that film? And then the last question, number 5, complete this quote. This is my house, I have to blank. You know, when we put this slide together, I totally was like in my Terry Wogan blankety blank. If you remember, you're a certain age. Blankety blank. Okay, so question number 1. Where is the McAllister family traveling for Christmas? Laura, you got it right. What was the answer? Paris.
Paris.
Is in fact the right answer. Well done. Question number 2. What were the character names of the Wet Bandits?
Marv and...
Harry. Yeah.
Well
Do
done.
you remember going, Harry?
Harry.
Harry. What does Kevin steal from the store? Question number 3. The answer is a toothbrush. Correct. Do you get a prize? No. You just get the joy of knowing you completed the quiz. Question number 4. What is the name of the gangster movie Kevin watches at home?
I can't remember the movie, but I remember the line, which is like something about you filthy animal.
You filthy animal.
But I can't remember what the movie is that it's from.
It's called Angels with Filthy Souls.
Ah, there we are.
Is the answer. And number 5, complete this quote. This is my house. I have to defend it. Is the answer.
Technically, that should have been 2 blanks because it's 2 words.
Should have been blankety blank.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, well.
just for next time.
All right, stickler for the rules. Thank you very much. How did you get on? Let's see. Who got it? Did anybody get all 5? Did anybody get 4? You got 3.5.
3.5, Laura.
3.5. Rounded it up, it's 4, yeah. Round that up, it's 5. You may as well say you've won all of them. I love that. Did you get any of the answers?
I got like 3.5 as well.
Very good. Very good. I actually got 4 when I did the quiz. I mean, I know I put the quiz together, but I pulled it off the internet. And I got 4 because
After looking at the answers?
No. Before I
Okay.
looked at the answers, I
Okay,
looked at
just
the questions. Jeez. You're on one tonight, aren't you? It's a good job this is your last Christmas service.
I think it might be my last service ever.
Can become bar humbug in a minute. So no, I got 4. I didn't get the movie Angels with Filthy Souls.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me talk to you about Home Alone. So, it is one of my favorite Christmas movies because one of my favorite memories over the years my kids grew up was them watching Home Alone for the first time. And I've got a video somewhere. I put a video camera under the TV and just left the video running whilst they watched it, you know. And the sheer laughter that emanated from my kids is just one of those things that I'll never, ever forget. And it's one of the reasons why we still watch it. Every time I watch it, I kind of remember what happened, you know, the first time the kids watched it. But behind the cuteness and the joy and the laughter and the fun and Marv getting smashed in the face with an iron, there's actually a really profound story, which we're going to get into tonight. And so, a story of being lost, of being found, of family, of redemption, which obviously beautifully ties in with the Christmas story, which is, you know, why we're here wearing the Star Wars Christmas jumpers, talking about Christmas movies. So, shall we get into it? I think we shall.
Yeah, I think
I'm
we
looking
should.
at you. You're just like, yeah, you can
we
talk for a
should.
little bit. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Christmas movies, so...
Yeah, well, we may as well get into it. Yeah, absolutely. So, the film, spoiler alert, right? This film was released in 1990. If you have not watched the film, soz. But we're going to be talking about the film. You've had plenty of time to watch it, really. But obviously, there's sort of this time where Kevin is really annoyed with his family, and it's like, I wish they would all disappear. And then, of course, he wakes up and they're not there, and he kind of has this realization. He has this moment, I've made my family disappear, right? And this idea of wanting your family to disappear, we've all had these moments where we've sort of said to ourselves, I just wish everybody would just disappear and leave me alone, right? Why do we do that? Well, because we often feel we could do it better on our own. A common feeling, I think, amongst parents. But there you go. But for Kevin, he also thought, life would be better on his own, didn't he? And it turns out that he gets his wish. They sort of all disappear, and what does he do? He runs around the house, he jumps on the bed, he eats crazy amounts of ice cream, he watches movies he shouldn't watch, he goes into his brother's room, he does all of those things, you filthy animal. Which is where that phrase comes from. Anyway, he even does this, doesn't he? If you want to pull that picture up, we get this sort of iconic scene in the movie where Kevin puts on the aftershave of his dad. And we get that screaming thing. And the one thing that's really bugged me, there's a few things that I really like about the film. There's a few things that really bug me. One of them is the fact that Kevin McAllister's dad is wealthy enough, A, to afford that house, B, to pay for a whole horde of people to go to Paris, some of which travel in first class, all the parents, and he's paid for it. And yet his aftershave of choice is Brute. The cheapest,
product
nastiest...
placement, surely.
Yeah, it must have been. It's like the cheapest, nastiest aftershave out there, isn't it? And it just makes me laugh, right? It really makes me laugh. And so Kevin is doing all these crazy things, isn't he? Why? Simply because he can. Because it seems at the moment the restraint has disappeared and has been lifted, and there in fact are no consequences for his behaviors. There are no rules, very good, so no limits, just freedom. Which sounds wonderful, doesn't it? We have all craved freedom in some way. And if you think about it in our sort of modern day world, I think we've taken this idea, this notion of freedom, to a whole new level. You can be free to live your best life. You do you, you be you, you live your truth. That sort of subjective truth, whatever is true to me is true in life. So no one therefore can tell me what's right, no one can tell me what's wrong. Therefore I am free to live life my way according to my terms. We are free because freedom, ultimately, this freedom that we all crave is this sort of freedom from restraint. It's like we've all had this sort of massive Kevin McAllister moment and we've just gone a bit nuts with it. We've been jumping, if you like, on our metaphorical beds, all going a little bit crazy, doing things that we shouldn't be doing. Because like I say, in our minds, this perceived freedom is the absence of restraint. Right? So what does it mean to be free? We live in the free world, the West, the free world. What does it mean to be free? It means to live without boundaries. It means people don't tell me what to do. I live life on my terms, without restraint. But ironically, I think that's the exact opposite of what freedom is. Why? Because I don't think, actually, and I'm yet to be convinced otherwise, I don't think you can actually live a life free from restraint. You just can't do it. You just walk outside, jump up, gravity is going to pull you down, right? There is always some kind of gravity going on. Something is going to pull you down. There is some kind of restraint. So what does freedom actually mean then? For me, to be free, that means I get to choose. Follow me on this. I get to choose what restrains me. So what do I mean by this? I get to choose, in effect, my gravity. A free man gets to choose their gravity. So, for example, I had the freedom to choose to marry Sharon, who if you're a regular to crowd, you'll have seen her. I had the freedom to choose to marry Sharon. It was a choice that I got to make. But in that, making that decision, what I chose to do was to be bound or to be restrained by the promises of that marriage, right? And quite rightly so, too, because why would I not want to do that? But it was a choice that I got to make because I was free to make it. I was free to choose to be bound by the marriage covenant. You have the same thing in work, right? We have the freedom to choose, in some respects in the West, who we work for, because that's what freedom is. We get to choose what restrains us, who restrains us. And so in work, I get to choose to work for this company over here, but I am then bound by the contract of that employment. I have to do certain tasks. I have to be there at a certain time. So my decisions, my choices cause restraints. So a free man gets to choose what restrains him. So freedom is not actually life without restraints, despite, I think, what Instagram tries to tell me. And this is something that we'll see happen in Home Alone, because obviously when night falls for Kevin and the house feels empty and dark and lonely, well, all that freedom doesn't feel so free anymore, does it? Now, of course, Kevin doesn't actually make his family disappear. I genuinely don't think he does. I don't think he has that skill or talent. But what did actually happen, if you think about what actually happened, they just left him behind. I mean, they just forgot about it. It's just pretty sad when you think about it, isn't it, really? They miscounted, got in a car, sat in first class, and then forgot all about Kevin whilst he was sat upstairs in bed. And I think here we can tie that into how I think a lot of people feel in life, and certainly in relation to God, where I think it's a complaint I've often heard about God, that it's like he's too busy, or we're not important enough really to be seen, like we've been sent to the top room, you know, for some kind of punishment that we don't really want, to live some kind of punished life. And when we eventually come out of that for whatever reason, God doesn't seem to be there and doesn't seem to be interested in us. It's like we've been left to face the worst part of life all by ourselves, which is where I think Kevin finds himself. And whilst he finds sort of dealing with this freedom, actually, again, if you think about it, freedom is one of those interesting things. When people talk about it, they talk about it from a very personal point of view. I want more freedom because I want to live life more on my way. That's then very individualistic, isn't it? Which bizarrely creates more isolation. And so you have the free countries, the countries of the West, apparently the most free countries in the world, who also, ironically, have the highest rates of isolation, have the highest rates of loneliness. And the two things in my head aren't disconnected. Do you see what I mean? The way we think about freedom and the way we become isolated. So back to Home Alone. We've got this character called Old Man Marley. He's in the background. So Old Man Marley. Can anybody tell me what his nickname was that the kids give him? This is going deep into the detail of the movie. Anybody? Have you seen Home Alone? Just once? Wow, Safi. Okay. When you were in school and you didn't pay attention. Okay, so you're not going to be able to answer this question. The kids gave him this nickname called the South Bend Shovel Slayer. Let me make sure I've got that right. Yes, the South Bend Shovel Slayer. The scary neighbor who salts the sidewalks, walks up and down salting the sidewalks to get rid of the bodies was the reason he did that, apparently, according to the film. And I think it's amazing the stories that we can create in our minds about someone that we've never actually met. And even Home Alone, you know, even Christmas movies need a bad guy. And so, as you know from the movie, Kevin has got it all wrong about Old Man Marley. He's listened to what other people have told him about Old Man Marley, and that formed an opinion of him, caused him to live in fear of it. But he has to find out who the guy is for himself. And I think the same is true with God. You know, we're talking about Jesus. It's Christmas. You know, we talk about Christmas, we talk about Jesus, like Jesus came, we have the nativity, we have the birth of Christ, we start thinking about Christ, we've got the wise men. I don't know what you think, it's just a cute story, it's just an old fable, it's actually real, Jesus came, etc., etc. All these sort of things that we think about. But involved in all of that, as we talk about Christmas, as we talk about Christ, there's all these ideas that we have about him, often, I think, formed by media, personality, our parents, what we were taught at school, all that kind of thing. And Kevin thinks Old Man Marley is a bit of a mean old geezer, doesn't he? And I think, when I think about how I viewed God before I became a Christian, this was often how I'd think about him. You know, God's mean and angry, just sat on a cloud waiting to zap you in case you had any kind of fun whatsoever. Like Santa, God has a naughty and nice list. Only no one is ever on the nice list. And he is scary or distant and aloof, old, and actually for me, not relevant and not needed, some of the ideas that I had about God. And so in effect, we've turned God into the South Bend Shovel Slayer in the spiritual world sense. And so I think God gets a bad rap in so many ways. But it wasn't until I met Christ for myself that I discovered who he really was. And the irony was, in all of this, Kevin, the very person that he was trying to avoid, was the very person that saves him at the end of the film. And there's this beautiful scene, one of my favorite parts of Home Alone, because of the music, when they're in the church, right? And Kevin actually gets to sit down and talk with old man Marley. And it turns out his scary neighbor is just really a heartbroken dad who misses his son. And it's in church, Kevin's view of this guy changes. And this was obviously a key thing that I wanted to pick up on because it's church, it's a church Christmas service. And I think if you're watching this online, if you're in person, and you're not sure about God, or you've got some ideas about God which have been formed outside of you actually trying to figure it out for yourself, I think church is a really good place. And I would strongly recommend that you go to church, because at some point you will meet him and have a conversation with him, and you can make up your own mind. And like I say, I bet you Kevin is glad that he did, because at the end of the film, Marley rescues Kevin. And the movie is great and funny, and I just love how he just beats up, what were they called? Marvin, Harry. How he just beats these guys up. But ultimately, it all fails, doesn't it? And Kevin needs Marley. Fundamentally, Kevin was a kid trying to deal with adult-sized problems. And he needed Marley to help and intervene. And I think that's the point, right? You might feel like you've got it all together, you're doing life just fine. Kevin thought he was handling the wet bandits really well as well. And everything is going to plan until it isn't. And at some point it doesn't. And in truth, I think often, even as adults, we're just kids trying to handle adult-sized problems. And I think we need God to come and get alongside us, help us, Lord, because this is way bigger than me. And I think for me, the first step in that journey was to acknowledge the view I had about God was probably warped and twisted, and I needed to meet him and then decide, which I think fundamentally is what Christmas is all about. It's about meeting Jesus. The shepherds met him, Joseph met him, Mary met Jesus for the first time that very first Christmas. Christmas is all about meeting Jesus. So what else is Christmas about? What else is going on in this story? And I'm going to use that phrase that most preachers use. I'm coming into land now.
Is that my hint to pick the mic back up?
Yeah, get ready.
Okay.
Get ready. So let's talk about Kevin McAllister, Kevin's mom, right? Now, she is obviously desperately trying to get home. She's desperately trying to get to Kevin. She is trading jewelry. She is taking flight. She is on a van with the, what were they, the polka band, which was John Candy, I think, from memory. She was doing whatever she could do to get home, which is what a mum would do. And I think right here is the Christmas story. I don't think the first Christmas is just about a baby in a manger. I don't think it's just about the shepherds and the wise men and the angels, and that's all amazing and awesome. And we've talked about that before at Crowd. I think it was about God, who looked at his children, lost, alone, trying to defend themselves against things too big for them to handle. And he said, you know what? I'm coming for you. And I think he did what he needed to do to get to us. Jesus actually put it this way. He said, the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Not judge them, not tell them off for getting lost, but to find them and to bring them home. That was his mission. And Jesus tells this brilliant story, which we've talked about before at Crowd, about a shepherd who had 100 sheep, which is a very precise number, but he had 100 sheep. 99 of them are doing really well. One of them, though, wanders off. And the shepherd decides to leave the 99 sheep who are safe and go and find this one sheep that was lost. And eventually he finds them. And you know what the shepherd did? He didn't tell the sheep off. Even if he did, I don't think the sheep would have fully understood, to be fair. He put the sheep on his shoulders, carried the sheep back, and then has a big party, basically. There's rejoicing. And this is what the Bible tells us. It says that, rejoice with me. The shepherd says, rejoice with me, for I have found my sheep that was lost. And then Jesus uses this as an analogy, and he says, just so, I tell you, there is more joy in heaven over one sinner who repents. In other words, there's a lot of joy in heaven when we are found, which I think is a wonderful thing. And that's, for me, when I watch Home Alone and I see Kevin McAllister searching out her son, I think of God and Jesus searching me out at Christmas time. And I think that's the joy of Christmas. It's not just about being found. I think it's about the celebration that follows. I love how Scripture talks about this, that there was rejoicing. I think Christmas is about celebration. I think it's about joy. I think it's about rejoicing. God's not angry that we got lost, but I think he's incredibly happy that we are found. And so I hope you experience that rejoicing this Christmas. And I pray you find that joy this season, even if that season actually isn't that much fun. I don't know. Whatever's going on, maybe like Kevin, I wrote this down. Maybe you feel a little bit like Kevin, trying to handle everything on your own. Or maybe like old man Marley, scared to take the step towards reconciliation with someone important. Or maybe you're just tired of defending your house against things that feel too big for you. Whatever is going on, in spite of everything, there is still joy to be found in the knowledge that we are, cheesy line, not actually home alone. So Christmas, we sing this song, don't we? Oh, come Emmanuel. And Emmanuel just means God with us. The fact that Jesus came to be with us at Christmas is utterly mind-bending. If Christmas is true, it's just mind-bending. That's why we can have joy. I love the carols. I do. I love and we sang some carols earlier beautifully. I love the decorations. You can't see them with the beautiful fairy lights in the ceiling, and it looks great. I love the tree, the decorations. I love the food. Really, really love the food. Definitely love the movies. And I'm, of course, a big fan of the Christmas jumpers. But for me, Christmas ultimately is about finding that joy. It's about finding that celebration of a God who came to seek and save that which is lost. And he found me, and we can enjoy that and celebrate that. So you know what? At the end of the movie, everyone comes home. That empty, quiet house becomes full of noise, of laughter, becomes full of people. Kevin has worked on his character. Whatever the problem was at the start of the film, it's all forgotten about by the end of it. Even Buzz, his brother, becomes a nice guy for a second. And I think if I think about it, I think ultimately this is what God wants. He wants his house full with his family, full with noise, full with joy, full with laughter. I don't think his family is complete without you, and I don't think it's complete without me. I don't think he's Santa checking to see if you've been naughty or nice this year, because I think he dealt with the naughty problem once and for all 2,000 years ago through the death of Christ. I just think it's all about you in God's house at Christmas, having fun in God's family, being found. Remember how Home Alone started? Kevin, wishing his family would disappear. Exactly the opposite with God. He wants everybody to show up. So, yeah, that's my little preamble from the movie. I've gone through all my notes, all my pages. So all that's left to say on that, I think, well, actually, there's going to be a lot more to say on next. We've got Conversation Street coming up. Whatever your thoughts, questions, comments are, do write them in the comments. We will come to that. Of course, write your takeaway in there. What's your biggest takeaway? Especially from, like, the movie, the Home Alone movie, how it relates to the Christmas story. When you watch it, what's your biggest takeaway? I would genuinely love to hear that. Write that in the comments. But yeah, over to you, Miss Anna.
Well, where to begin with that? There was a lot in there, Matt.
I'm just going to have a drink now. So.
Yeah, you just take a moment. That was inspiring, and also, just a lot of challenge in there, and a lot of things that I've never seen in that movie before. The thing that struck me the most was that whole idea of when it feels like you're pursuing freedom, and that freedom is totally being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, like Kevin did at the start, and how initially that feels like a really good thing. I know I grew up in a Christian family, and when I first left home, I was like, woohoo, woo, I can do whatever I want now. No parents around, I'm going to uni. And I think a lot of people have that sense as they grow up of like, wow, I'm free from parental constraint. I can do whatever I want to do with my life, be whoever I want to be. And yeah, that can be exciting for a while, but then it only takes you so far. And it strikes me that kind of time and time again, you see that kind of idea that the world often sells us, that total freedom is total freedom, doesn't actually take you into a place of freedom long term. It might feel fun for a while, but actually I just think I've got so many friends and just different people that I've met over the years who've believed that and then found themselves somewhere other than freedom, tied up in alcoholism or drug addiction or all kinds of difficult situations with relationships that they thought was going to be good and free and actually ended up really hurting them and harming them. So it just strikes me that is just really true. And I've never seen that in that story. Like, I've never thought about it in that way before.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, isn't it? The idea of freedom is living without constraint, which usually means living without consequence. So, what would you do if you knew there were no consequences? Well, I'll just eat chocolate all day because, why would I not? It's tasty food. But, and I have the freedom to do that, but there is this restraint with it. There's a consequence of it, right? And I have to be aware of that. And to live like there's no consequence to my actions or my behaviors, is utter foolishness in many ways. And I think when I was younger, you tend to live like that. You tend to not think about the consequence. You think about the here and now. Yeah. You think you're very present. What I do right now. So the same, when I left home, I'm like, yay, I don't have to do what I'm told anymore, and I can do this, that, and the other. And it's, and you go and do things you probably shouldn't. But you do that not really thinking it through, not really thinking about the consequences. I think as you get older, you start to think not much, but a little bit more about the consequences, don't you, of behavior. I know that if I don't exercise for a few weeks, I'm going to be sore and stiff. I've become aware of that. That's an age-related thing. You've not got there yet, obviously.
I'm getting there, to be honest.
Yeah?
No, you're right, though. I think some of it is an age thing. But in a good way, I think there's a maturity that comes when you realise freedom isn't freedom from all constraint, and actually that some restraint is a healthy, good thing. Like, I used to love freedom to do whatever I wanted at any time, night or day. And now I feel like, actually, I quite like structure in my life and having, I don't know, the kind of rhythms of life that mean I have to be certain places and do certain things. I'm, have to be more responsible. I'm a mum. Certain other people depend on me. My employer depends on me. As I've grown older, I've learned to actually like that rather than feel that it's a constraint or something that holds me back. It's actually something that gives me more freedom.
Yeah, entirely true. Entirely true. So I just think it's interesting to talk about this concept of freedom and what that actually means, and why I think at the heart of the Christian message there's this concept of freedom. It is for freedom that Christ set you free, is what the Bible tells us. And actually, true freedom is the decision to decide to follow Christ or not, right? Now, if I didn't have that freedom, then I think we've got a whole different problem. But I think that's the truth of God. You make that decision, yes or no. And following Christ is choosing to be restrained, there's that word again, by Christ. Yeah, He is my Lord. This is language that the Bible uses. I submit to Him. I bow the knee to Him. Not my will, but your will be done. Not my way, but your way. And that can be very hard to get your head around. And actually, I think it's quite costly. I mean, the Bible talks about you've got to lay down your life. You've got to take up your cross. It's that daily decision to go, I could choose to do this a different way, but to do it your way, to be restrained by you, to be constrained by this covenant that I am in, is probably the better way. And I think that for me is what freedom's all about.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also, it strikes me that there's a cost to not doing that as well. Because would you agree that everybody is enslaved to something? So you can be, kind of lay down your life for Christ, or you can be following something else. I don't think anyone is truly free. Like, I think about friends that I have who perhaps don't choose to follow Christ, but they're pursuing something in their life, something that's important, whether that's money or fame or popularity with people or just hedonism or, you'll be enslaved to something.
Yeah.
I think over time, if that's the thing you pursue more than anything.
Yeah, I think there's always something that's got our heart. There's always something that's got our attention.
So in that respect, there's no such thing as total freedom outside of...
No, I think you have to understand what freedom is and isn't. And I just think our definition of freedom is skewed. I think it's warped. And I think if you think freedom is life without restraint, I think you've misunderstood what freedom is. I just think that is selfish behavior in many ways. That is hedonistic, that is indulgent, there's so many words I could use to describe that. And I'm talking about me here, it's selfish. I want to do things my way in my terms because I'm not faffed with anybody else out here. Do you see what I mean? And as soon as you try and put some kind of constraint on me, I have now become the victim. This whole victimhood culture in many ways is come out of this. So I think understanding what true freedom, what biblical freedom is, it's not a life without restraint, it's the ability to choose what restrains you. And I think once you've got your head around that, it makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I really like that, choosing to deciding what you choose will restrain you. Yeah.
What's your gravity, I think, is a great thing.
Yeah.
Because you've got to choose something, right? And it's true in life. A lot of self-help gurus talk a lot about discipline, and they talk a lot about resilience. I can choose to spend an hour in the morning at the gym, which no one really wants to do, and restrain myself to that, or I can choose not to do that, right? I can choose to put my selfish desires aside and be a better husband, or I can choose not to do that, right? But fundamentally, there are consequences to both those choices. Yeah. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's just a really important conversation to get your head around.
Yeah, definitely. I also really liked, actually, Matt, what you said about kind of like how the film reflects our views of God. Like, on the one hand, that God might be this mean and controlling or scary person. And, also I think often, the Santa Claus kind of character who you just go to and ask for all your wishes to come true. And he has a good list and a bad list. And are you being nice enough to, get into heaven or to get what you want out of God? I think, in a way, that's quite a childish way to come to God, isn't it? Like, I think when I was younger, I wouldn't have ever phrased it that way, but I do think I used to think about God a little bit like that. Like, if I do all the right things and I just, I'm a nice enough person and I, read my Bible and go to church and do all the things that I felt were expected of me growing up in a Christian family, then, God will give me a nice life, because that's the deal, right? Like, things will go my way when I pray.
How's that worked out for you?
Answered.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not worked out. So, but it's interesting, isn't it, how we can, make God into our own image almost, or what we think how he should behave.
It's a really interesting point, isn't it? Because oftentimes it's like that. It's like you get asked questions like, if God existed, for example, why is there suffering? One of the big existential questions. And I get it and I understand it, because what we're saying is, in my head, if I was God, if I had that power, I would end suffering, right? So therefore, if God hasn't ended suffering, he has not acted according to my thinking. Therefore, God is either not real or God is not good. And it's bringing God down to our human form. Now, I think the questions about suffering, I'm not belittling it, and I think they are big questions that we're going to get into actually a lot in the next term when we go through Genesis. But I think beyond that, what that fundamentally is, it's like I am bringing God down to my level. I am trying to think of God in my very humanistic terms, which is why I struggle with this whole idea of truth comes from me. You know, truth is subjective.
Yeah.
Truth is whatever I make it. Because it's like, well, really, where's that coming from? If the truth is subjective, where's that coming from? Well, it's coming from how I feel. It's not really a great source of truth, is it? How you feel, because it changes fairly consistently.
And also, when you actually step back from it, who really wants a God who's small enough to fully understand and control and think like, you know, a God that thinks like me, you know, that thinks that small and has that kind of perspective on the world.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want a God like that. I want a God who's much bigger and much more all-encompassing, all-powerful, and sees things I don't see. And is out, you know, God is outside of space and time, and you know, and the creator of all things. And like, you know, it slightly blows my mind when you really start to think of it. Like, but I kind of, at the same time, don't you want a God who blows your mind, who isn't so small that you can fully get him and put him in a little box and
then he's not God,
take him around with you?
Yeah.
No, that's
by
not
very
God.
definition is not God. That's just like a genie in a lamp.
Yeah.
And again, I get my
Or
3 wishes.
Santa Claus again.
Or Santa Claus, yeah. It's the same thing, isn't it? Nicola's put here in the comments, she now wants to go and watch Home Alone.
Yeah, I think everyone should do that this week.
Go watch Home Alone and tell me what you think. Safi, you need to watch it again.
Yeah. Do you know what really is going to scare you about Home Alone? So, obviously, Macaulay Culkin, who plays the little boy Kevin in it, was about 10 when he did that movie, which is the same age as my little boy is now.
Right.
Well, he's nearly 10. And do you know how old he is now?
Well, I'm guessing 44.
44, yeah. Same age as me. Isn't that scary?
No way, you're the same age as Kevin.
So when he filmed that was the size I was, roughly, when that film first came out. And I actually remember going to see it at the theatre, like, or at the cinema, like, when I was about 10. Yeah, 10 or 11.
Wow, that is slightly scary.
Yeah, that really makes you feel old, doesn't it?
It does. I'm not going to lie, it does. Because, how old would I have seen? So it came out in 1990, so I'd have been 17.
Yeah, I was 10.
Yeah, I was 17. You can do the maths, it's fine.
Just told everyone how old I am now, aren't I? Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, no one believes you. They're all writing in the comments. There's no way you're 44. You're lying. You're not telling the truth.
As long as they're saying I look younger, not older.
Yeah, they're saying you look younger, and they're putting in the comments, there's no way Matt's as young as 51.
Matt looks older,
He's like 806.
Yes, people.
Surely him and Noah used to be mates. That's what they're saying in the comment. They're not saying that at all, of course, obviously. But yes, looking at the time, we should probably end the live stream.
Wrap up, yeah.
We've been going on. Just to let you know, ladies and gentlemen, that crowd will be not happening for the next 2 weeks. So the next crowd episode, it's not an episode. What's the word I'm looking for? Service.
The next crowd service.
Yeah, next crowd service. 5th of January. And we're going to start on the book of Genesis. We're going to have Jack Mariner introducing us to the book of Genesis. We are going to be working through Genesis until Easter time.
Awesome.
So if you don't know what Genesis is, the first book of the Bible talks about the origins of the earth, probably one of the most contentious books that we have in the Bible. Even in the church, people, how do we interpret it? How do we understand it? We're going to get into it. I'm not saying we're going to answer all the questions. We're going to ask a lot, though. And we are going to be looking at that. We're going to be talking about the nature of God. We're going to be talking, I'm just trying to think of all the different ones, covenants. We're going to be talking about desire. I mean, it's all going on.
How the earth was created. I mean, that's a big one, isn't it?
Science and religion, what's all that together? So do stay connected with us for that. Do like and subscribe with what's going on. We would love to stay connected with you on that. But that's what's coming up next term. But for the next 2 weeks, there will be no crowd service online. I'm going to be celebrating Christmas with my family, which I assume is what you're going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm going to be celebrating Christmas with my family, definitely. Yeah, looking forward to a little break, a few days off work.
Yeah, what are you going to get for Christmas? What's
what
your
am I
hope?
getting for Christmas?
What do you want?
I don't know, you have to ask
Andy,
my
I hope you're
husband.
listening.
Yeah. I haven't got anything major I want this year.
No?
Just little bits and pieces.
Okay.
My son, oh no, I can't say in case he watches this.
What he's getting or what he wants?
Well, what he's put on his Christmas list, which is very long, but top of the list is some really huge Nerf guns that are like nearly bigger than him.
Okay.
So I'll send them around to yours with them.
Yeah, we've got some Nerf
if
guns.
Santa brings them.
Yeah, I'll have a Nerf fight with him. That's no problem. Love that. Absolutely love that. Listen, it's been great to be with you. In about 10 minutes' time, if you'd like to come meet us online, you can do. Zoe, you're going to put the thing in the comments. So in the comments although I'm not sure actually that goes in the Instagram comments. It's just in the YouTube and Facebook comments. Basically, I think it's go.crowd.church/meet, M-E-E-T. If you go to that URL in about 10 minutes, we'll just be there just saying hello. Come say how's it. It'd be good to talk to you for 10 minutes. Good to meet you. It's always nice to meet people. I mean, we talk to the cameras and we talk to these beautiful people behind the cameras, but it'd been always nice to meet people face to face. But yeah, anything else from you?
No, just have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Have a good one.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.